I just wanted to record this so that I can type it.
Yeah, it's fine. I did the same.
And then so that's why I wanted to interview like female scientists like you, and to know more about you guys, and then to encourage future students that they may choose, seagoing projects or something like that. So
and this is for students in Taiwan or for
Hawaii?
General?
Okay. For general, yeah. So my blog is bilingual, so it's English and Chinese.
Okay.
So for both.
Yeah.
Especially for students in Taiwan, because it's a different world. Like U.S. is more equal than in Taiwan, but now it's getting better.
Okay.
So just want to encourage them that anything you wanted to do, don't worry. You're just you're a female. Just do it.
Okay.
Okay. So just can you briefly describe what your scientific project is about, and why do you need to go to research cruises?
Okay. Well, so in general, I consider myself a marine microbiologist and biogeochemist, and I'm particularly interested in life in the deep sea. So what microorganisms live there, what do they do, and how important is their living to the rest of the Earth. And so I have to go on cruises to go out and get the samples from the different places that we study, whether that's mid-ocean ridge or out in the middle of nowhere in deep abyssal sediments or at cold seeps or things like that.
So how often do you go to sea?
My average for the last 3 years is about 2 to 3 months at sea per year.
Okay.
Before that, it used to be more like once a month, 1 month a year.
Oh, okay.
But the last few years have been very busy.
And how long is your longest cruise?
That would be the North Pond cruise from last year. We were out for almost 9 weeks.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And what is the most exciting thing about going to a research expedition to you? What is the most exciting thing?
Well, I think there's two exciting things. So, of course, the science is exciting, right? I mean, whether you're with an Alvin submarine or with Jason, or even just using a multi-core, you're getting samples or seeing part of the world that no one else has probably ever seen before.
Yeah.
So there's kind of that sense of adventure and discovery.
Right.
But then also on the personal side, I find it exciting because you get to live kind of a different life for a couple weeks. It's like going to summer camp almost, like a science summer camp.
True.
So, yeah, it's just a new experience.
Okay, so it always make you excited.
Yeah.
Oh, it's time to go to sea again. How do you adjust yourself at sea from your land life? Because the sea, living on, it's just like you said, it's like a science summer camp. It's very different from your routine daily life when you're on land. Yeah. So how do you adjust yourself?
Well, so you have to be comfortable with not having a routine because, every day is different and you never know if you need to be up in the middle of the night or the middle of the day. So just being comfortable with that. And then, thinking ahead before you go on a cruise of, like, what kind of things do you think you'll miss? Or, what will help you if you're feeling kind of, sad or homesick, So bringing some movies that you might want to watch or candy that you want to eat or something, and having these kind of special treats that you can reward yourself with if you feel you need to.
Right. And I don't know if you know how your family adjust themselves or how your close friends adjust themselves when you're at sea, you're not with them.
Well, yeah, so I don't really have like a close family that has to worry about me being gone. But of course my parents, always are wondering when I'm coming back, and I blog a lot when I'm at sea, so they can keep track of what I'm doing.
Okay.
So that even though we can't talk, they can keep track of what I'm doing.
Right.
And yeah, with friends it's the same. It's like, okay, I'll be back in a couple weeks, and let's have a big party when I get back to, see each other again. And oftentimes they'll come back, they're like, you've already been gone for 3 weeks? Oh, man. So
you're back already.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there, just from your personal experience, do you see there are some advantages for a female scientist like you working on a ship?
Advantages to me because I'm a female?
Right. Just the gender differences. Do you see the differences or no?
Sometimes, yeah. So, depending on the ship and depending on the crew, some crew are more or less willing to let me as a female be out on the deck handling heavy equipment, right? Some guys don't feel comfortable, like, let me do it for you, a female shouldn't have to do this. And sometimes that's a little annoying. Sometimes it's nice because, okay, I don't want to lift up a heavy thing. Sure, you do it.
Right.
But there's no disrespect either. It's more that they just want to help.
Right.
But otherwise, I don't feel that there's much, discrimination or bias or anything like that. And I don't really think there's necessarily any advantage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. And how would you encourage young female students to participate in research projects that will require them to go to sea? How would you encourage them?
Well, I think the first thing to do is to express an interest in doing an internship or a summer course or something like that with a marine scientist. And oftentimes different oceanographic programs will have a need for students to come on board and help out with small day cruises or week-long cruises off the coast or things like that. And so just showing up and being willing is kind of one of the things. And there's a couple of universities and other institutions, like where I work at Bigelow, every summer there's a big program for research experience for undergraduates. And oftentimes there's a chance to do oceanographic work in those programs. So you get a little bit of experience first and know what you want to do.
Okay.
And then also I think every scientist that gets money from UNOLS to have a cruise, they have to post opportunities on the UNOLS webpage. So that's another place that people can go. If they just want to go somewhere, then they can maybe find a way to do that.
Yes, just to experience themselves. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, just some questions. Oh, actually, they have more particular questions that...
Okay.
Okay, what sediments can tell us? What kind of information do sediment samples can provide?
About what?
For you, for example.
Well, if we just talk about this cruise, for example, we know that we're way out in the middle of the ocean, and there's very little life in the water above us.
Okay.
And so the accumulation of sediments is very, very slow here. So even when you get just a few centimeters in, you're thousands of years old or more. And so I'm interested in the life that's getting buried with that sediment and how it changes over those timescales.
Okay.
And figuring out. So one of the big things I did on this cruise was, measure oxygen concentrations and then collect samples for doing pore water analysis.
Right.
So that we can kind of understand what the microbes are doing and how fast or extremely slowly they're growing. So.
Okay.
And then also the fabric of the sediments, whether it's sandy or fine-grained or clay, can also tell us something about where the sediments came from.
Right.
Was it something that sloughed off these slopes around us, or is it just nanofossil ooze or stuff like that?
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is one more thing. I think probably the drilling questions too. So they ask, what if when you are drilling and then you got stuck or you hit something really hard, what do they do? I remember during the nose pond, you guys had some problems, some issues, right?
Yeah, so there's two different answers to that question. When you hit a layer that's really, really hard, one of the things you can try to do is put more pressure on the bit to really push into it.
Okay.
But you can run the risk of the drill bit breaking. And we had that happen, right? So at 1383B, the drill cone just fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even that hard, so the drill bit was probably messed up. And that's bad, because then you have to either abandon the hole or you have to try to fish out all those parts with like a big basket.
How big is the drill?
The cones vary in size from about this big to about that big.
Okay.
And then, they have a hole in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
If in this cases where the drill string gets stuck, so for instance, maybe it's drilling and there's a cave-in up above and it like seals the pipe in place and they can't pull it out, they actually drop dynamite down the drill pipe to blow it off and then start over again. So that's happened a couple expeditions ago. They were drilling into some seamounts near New Zealand.
Okay.
And they got stuck and they had to dynamite the drill pipe.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Let me see if there are questions that you might be able to help to answer. This is good. So how do they, like how we have to continuous drilling one hole, and how they actually position the ship at the right position, and they can always go down in the right place, right position.
Yeah, so for instance, the drilling ship, the JR, it has 12 thrusters.
Right.
And they're all connected to the dynamic positioning system.
Okay.
So it's all georeferenced with like GPS,
right?
Right? Like we want the ship to be right here.
Right.
And the thrusters turn on and off to keep the ship right in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then the drill string itself is connected to what's called a heave compensator. So there's the big derrick, right?
Okay.
Where, if you imagine the ship, and then there's the big derrick in the middle where all the drill pipe is hanging.
Right.
It's basically like a big pulley system, so that when the ship goes up and down on a wave, the heave compensator moves up and down, so that the drill string stays in the same place, and the ship just moves in relation to the drill string. But you would be surprised how much bendiness there is in the drill pipe. So when they pick up these 10-meter long steel pipes to pull them into the derrick, so there's this long pipe racker, and then they pull them up, you can actually see the flexure in the pipe. And if you imagine, let's say 4 kilometers worth of that pipe, there's quite a little bit of wiggle room.
Right.
And so the ship can actually vary in its position by a few tens of meters, and still can be considered on top of the hole, just because of the way the pipe moves.
Wow.
So.
Wow, I see. Cool. And then, is that a re-entry cone?
Mm-hmm.
It's something like that can help?
Yeah, well, it depends. So a re-entry cone is really important if you know that you're going to pull the drill string in and out of the hole. So if you were just on a normal sediment coring leg, you would just start a hole and core until you couldn't core anymore.
Right.
And then you would pull out and start a new hole, right? So there was no need for a re-entry cone because you're not going to re-enter the hole.
Right.
But for something like corks, where we know we have to drill and then pull out and cement and then pull out and do something else, we need to have a guide to help us find that hole and get back in it.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. So, yeah. I think you have already answered why it's important to study the subsea floor biosphere. So.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah, they have all kind of questions.
Yeah. Cool.
Need to find the right person to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you.